Part C.3, Understand SQL Scripts. In this video, I want to explain the basic information related to SQL scripts. All right. In order to do that, I need to use a simple example, database script example. So we start with a database script. I upload it in module 2 part C. Yeah. So first we need to download that example called company.sql. SQL. All right. That database is, gives several tables in a company. And because it is written in SQL statements, so we use the extension .sql. Yeah. It is a text file, plain, simple text file. Yeah. Next 2 slides, I will explain some basic syntax in the SQL statements. Yeah. Here, you download this from module 2 part C. Part C. All right? Yeah. So you can find it easily. Yeah. After you download it, so then we will use this example. So then I explain, several, some basic knowledge. All right. Yeah. First, I want to explain the file name. So we use some convention here, the file name convention. Yeah. So let's look at the file name here. All right. So you can see first, this company, this part corresponds to the database name. Then .sql. So that's the, SQL. So, we use the SQL standard. SQL is an industry standard. We use SQL standard to write our query statements. Yeah. And so this convention, when we use it, we do not need to ask people, so what is the name of the database? So here we just, by default, by our convention default. So we use the file name without extension. So that part as the database name. Yeah. So this database name actually, there is some reason behind it. Yeah. Because when we export a database, here, let me talk about the export step, export a database. All right, yeah. So we clicked export tab. Yeah. Later I will show you when we click export tab. All right. So then we go through some windows, some user's interface. We can select, several options. Yeah. All right. After that, we click button go, the default file name. The default file name, the database name is used as the file name. All right. Yeah. So if you do not type your own file name, although you have chance to type your own file name, but default file name has this format. Okay, yeah. The current database name .sql. Yeah. So that's the reason, it is natural we use the convention like that. Yeah. All right. Here, let me do, at this point, let us download company.sql database script and let us use the PHP myadmin GUI application, web application to create and populate this database. All right, so let us do that. Yeah. Let me show you. So this is the script. After I download it, I use my text editor to open it so I can see the content. So here you can see, so this is the content of that script. You can see we have several tables and we have a lot of data. So other than the table definitions, we have a lot of data there. All right? Yeah. So here we just, let us create a database first. After that, let us populate. Let us run all these SQL statements and populate the database. Yeah. All right. First, make sure you start. Just a minute. All right. Yeah, I need to. All right. First, make sure you start XAMPP. So here, Apache MySQL database server. So you know how to start it. All right. Yeah. After that, let me bring up my web browser. Yeah. All right. So here, let me click Home here. Yeah. Home. Yeah. Then Database tab. I need to create a new database name. So let me type the database name here. Company. Yeah. The script. Yeah. Company.sql. So we know by default, company is the default database name. All right. Click the button Create. Then you can see company node is created. You can use this link here or the link here. Yeah, two places. So either one is fine. So next step, select this database. You need to select it first. All right. So you click it. All right. So then it is selected. See, database : company. So you know this empty database is selected because it's empty. Yeah. When you create it, you have not run any SQL statement to put something in it. Yeah. So next step, populate it. Get it populated. All right, click the SQL tab. We plan to run SQL command here. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So let's do this way. Copy paste when we get to the, so the whole script is here. Let us select everything. Control A, select all the text. Yeah. Control C, copy. All right. Then we'll get here, copy V, Control V, right? Control V. All right. So we get all the commands copied here. Yeah. So we're ready to run the commands. Click Go to do it. All right. Right? Yeah. Go. So now let's look at what do we have, right? No error. First thing, there is no error, right? Yeah. Second, you click company, so you see how many tables do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, so we have 6 tables. Yeah. So then you click browse, you can look at the data in the table. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So let us just stop here. Yeah. You know, for the first step. So we just do at this point. Yeah. All right. Then we go back to our PowerPoint slides. All right. Yeah. So let us go to the next step. All right. So now the basics of SQL scripts. Here I like to explain some basic knowledge, very simple, about SQL scripts or SQL statements, SQL command, yeah. Here I only just use one of the 6 tables, department table. All right, so let me explain some, basic information here. Yeah. First, look at this line, the first line. Drop table if exists, department table. The table name, department. Yeah. Drop. So, if this department table already exists, drop it. Drop the table. So you delete it completely. Drop the table. Yeah. So that's the meaning. But the question is why we do that, right? Why we do that? We drop. Yeah. Here, let me give you the story behind it. Yeah. So this line is quite useful when you do database design. Database design. All right? Because at the database design stage, you need to modify your database, some of the tables frequently, right? Now here, so let's just assume we want to work on this table. Yeah. In the real world situation, when you work on a particular web application, you need to use many tables. Yeah. So let us consider one of the tables. Yeah. So at the beginning, you have some idea, so you make the definition of your table. That's the first version, right? Yeah. But when you do the development, when you understand the business better and better, and when you feel there is some need to improve some of the features, you may need to modify part of the table, right? So when you modify part of the table, how do you do it, right? So you need to modify, different table fields, or you need to add a few more new fields, right? You may also need to remove some of the old table fields, right? Yeah. So here each line corresponds to one field. Yeah. One field corresponds to one column. Yeah. Here, yeah. So, field or column. All right? Yeah. So when you do that kind of modification, think about what is the easiest way, right? Yeah. You have many ways to do it. You can go back to our PHP MyAdmin to modify at a structure place. We have a structure tab. You click the structure tab, you can modify each field. You can add a new field, you can drop old field. Yeah, you can do that. Yeah. But there is another way, much faster, more convenient way. You change in your text editor, the script. So you just, use the keyboard, you make the change, whatever you want. Yeah. After you make the change, then you want to remove the old table and run the script to create a new table. When you do that, this line is useful. You drop the old table, then you create a new table with the new definition. How about that? Yeah. So that is the reason we use the first line. Yeah. Although, but for this class, we do not do a lot of database design work. Yeah. You may not have much chance to use this line, but it does not hurt, right? It does not hurt. So here I just put there. Yeah. All right. So that is the first line. So now the question. Yeah. So let me continue for other part. Yeah. Then another thing you may notice is, what is this? You can see for each, field name, table name, we use that symbol first. It's not single quotes. Yeah. So the things not single quote. Yeah. If you look at closely, it's not a single quote. Yeah. It is. So what is that? Yeah. So we how to call it? Yeah. So I just find a name. I don't know, how do you call it? Yeah. Find a name. Backstroke accent, right? Because accent, we know there is many different shapes for accent, but this one is that backstroke accent. Yeah. So, I just find somewhere it called backstroke accent symbol. Yeah. Where is it? On your keyboard, on your standard keyboard. Suppose this is your standard keyboard. And this upper left corner, so this location, yeah, you have a tilde, then below the tilde, this symbol. Yeah. Backstroke accent, like that. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Why we use it? Yeah. So the question is why we use this symbol here, right? Yeah. If we remove all these backstroke accent symbols, can we still run the SQL statements without any problem? The question. Answer is sometimes you may have problems. Sometimes you're fine, sometimes you may not have the problem. Why? Why is that? Yeah. Here, the main problem about this is, let me write the answer. Avoid using any keyword. What keyword? SQL keyword, okay? SQL keyword as a table name or a field name. All right. Let me explain this sentence. Yeah. Why avoid that, right? So think about, here we use department, yeah, as the table name. Then D name, D number, we need to use some field names. Think about if sometimes you may use a field name or table name that happens to be a keyword, an SQL keyword. What would happen? You will get error, right? You will get error. So, all right, when you run the script, then there is an error message. Your table cannot be created because of that error. So why is that? Here, let me give you an example. Simple example. Example here. All right. So what's that? Yeah. Here, let me use one example. There is a keyword called use. Keyword. Keyword called use. What's that? Use database. Yeah. So think about when you need to select a database, you need to type command use database, then your database name. Okay, that use is a command name. All right, but if you happen to use this keyword as your table name or field name, what would happen? You will get an error. You cannot create that table. How to avoid that? That's simple. Suppose you have a field name called use, you just put inside backstroke accent, use. After that, then there is no complaint. So that's the purpose using the backstroke accent. All right. So, yeah. So just that simple. Yeah. So do not feel, here I give you this example. Yeah. So do not feel, this kind of thing redundant. Yeah. Sometimes if you're lucky, if you do not use any keyword, then it's redundant, right? Yeah. But in case you happen to use some special keyword, because there are a large number of SQL keywords you do not know. You may not be familiar with all the keywords, right? So when you want to avoid it, you need to use this method. All right, yeah. So that's one thing. Then another. So let me explain the data types here. Data types. Yeah, when you define table, you need to specify data types for your fields. Yeah. So here, the first one, variable characters, varchar. Okay, VARCHAR. So first, the data type string. Okay, characters, right? But the variable length, VAR means the variable length. Length can change, but you also see 15 inside the parentheses. That means up to 15 characters. So this field, department name, D name, this D name, you can use at most 15 characters, less than or equal to 15 characters. That's the meaning. All right? Yeah. Then, the second one, integer, int, parenthesis 11 digits, right? Yeah. So you use an integer for this field up to 11 digits. Up to, here, less than or equal to 11 digits. All right. Then, next one, character, CHAR, parenthesis 9. This is the fixed length. Because we already have the variable length, character, string, data type, right? We do not need another variable length, right? So this one, CHAR, parenthesis 9, exactly 9 characters. So that's simple. All right. So then, date data type. Yeah. Date. So we want to represent a date. All right. So let me give you the date format. In SQL standard, the date format is different from our normal date format. Normal date format, it's different. All right, so let me give you the standard date format. All right. Okay, yeah, let me, year, right? Yeah, year, yeah. 4-digit year first. Y. All right. Dash. Okay. Let me remove this. 2-digit month number. M dash. 2-digit date number. That's the standard date format. So we will see that later. Next slide, we will see the data part. Yeah. So that is the standard SQL date format. All right? Yeah. If you use different way, no. The MySQL, or actually any database management system that supports SQL standard cannot recognize your data. Okay? All right. So next, let me show you SQL data part. We want to understand the SQL data. Yeah, we just, understand the table definition part, not the data part. So look at this table. Not table, this insert statement, insert data into the table department. Okay, yeah, so you know the meaning. So insert into, first, the keywords, capital, here you can see when we type this SQL in capital letters, that's convention. All right, that's convention. So that means if you use lowercase, it still works. It still works. But the reason we capitalize the SQL command part, so we want to make the whole statement more readable. We want to see the difference. The command part and the data part. Data part, we just put the data there as is. Whatever the data is, we just put there. Okay? But for the command part, we want to make it stand out, more readable. So by the convention, we like to use the capital, uppercase version here. Yeah. All right. So then you specify sequence of field names in certain order. Okay. Yeah. Parentheses. Yeah. Comma separate the fields. Yeah. All right. Then values. After values, you provide data for each row. Each row we also call a record. Yeah. Record or row. Yeah. One row corresponds to one record. All right. Yeah. Separate by commas. Yeah. So one row, comma, next row, comma, and so on. Yeah. So you can use here, you use one SQL statement, one insert statement, right? So one statement here. But you insert many rows in one statement. Yeah. So this is the, batch way insertion. Yeah. So it's not one insert statement insert one row. One insert statement we can insert multiple rows. So that's the batch insertion. Yeah, more efficient batch insertion. Yeah. All right. So that's one thing. The second thing I want to point out, now you see this data, right? Yeah, standard, the date. So 4-digit year number dash 2-digit month number dash 2-digit date number. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So you get that idea. Second, Then, so this part, the string data, right? String data, we use a pair of single quotes. Yeah. Single quotes. Yeah. Single quotes SQL standard. Yeah. String, single. We use single quotes. So that's the SQL standard. All right. How about double quotes, right? Yeah. Then sometimes people may like to, double quotes. How about double quotes? Double quotes not SQL standard, but supported. Double quotes supported by MySQL. All right, MySQL support double quotes, but other database management system may not. May support, may not support it. Yeah, but because they are not SQL standard. SQL standard, every DBMS must support it. Yeah. Double quotes, the database vendor can make their own decision if they want to support it or not. Yeah. Yeah, but for this MySQL, it's okay if you like to use double quotes. Yeah, it's also fine. Yeah, but most of the time we use single quotes. Okay, we use single quotes. Yeah. All right, that's one thing. Then look at the integer part. Integer, department number, the integer part. You can see the integer, we do not use single quotes around it, right? Yeah. So for integer data, all right, there are two ways you can use. With single quote, all right, yeah, let me get some space. Without single quotes. Both okay, all right? Both okay, all right? Yeah, but here, most of the time, when we see integer data, we like to use the way without single quotes, because in that way we know, oh, this is an integer data type, so we can separate integer and string data. But why with single quotes still fine? Because in some special situations, that feature could be useful with single quotes. With the single quotes could be useful. So for that reason, if you have an integer data, but based on your programming special cases, you may need to use single quotes around it. Yeah, there are some rare cases you may have that situation. You can do that. Yeah, I had that experience. Yeah, so I know sometimes you need to do that. Yeah, so for that reason, it is supported. Yeah. All right. So that's pretty much the basic knowledge I want to give you in this video, C.3. Yeah. Next, if I still have some time, I may like to do some simple SQL queries. Yeah. Very simple. So because this is not a database course, so this is a web programming course. So we will use SQL queries, but usually pretty simple SQL queries. Yeah. All right, so let's